You ever look at a painting and just feel like you're missing something? Like there's a secret language you don't quite speak? Well, today, we're going to crack that code. We're going on a visual journey through some of modern art's most incredible movements. Let's dive right in.
I mean, just think about it for a second. One painting can make you feel the warmth of a summer morning, right? Another one can literally shatter reality into a million pieces. And then a third can pull you right into the weirdest dream you've ever had. The artists who did this, they basically invented brand new visual languages. So, the big question is, can you spot the difference? That's the challenge for today.
You know, for more than a century now, artists have just been tearing up the rulebook. They didn't just change what a painting looks like, they changed how we see the world. So in this explainer, we're going to decode all their secrets, giving you the tools you need to spot these styles out in the wild.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start back in the late 1800s, when artists were obsessed, and I mean obsessed, with capturing light. Then we'll watch as reality gets totally shattered. After that, we're diving deep into the human mind, into the world of dreams, and we'll finish up by landing right back in the modern world, where, yep, even a soup can be a masterpiece.
Okay, first up, we've got a revolution that started with something so simple, just stepping outside. Seriously, artists left their dark, stuffy studios, they went out into the sunlight, and poof, they changed painting forever. And that was Impressionism. See, the goal wasn't to paint a perfect photorealistic tree. No way. It was to capture the impression of that tree in a single moment. You know, the way the sunlight flickers through the leaves, that feeling of a warm afternoon. And you have to understand, this was huge. All of a sudden, art was about perception and feeling, not just being technically perfect. So how can you spot an Impressionist painting? Well, here's your checklist. Look for quick, thick, visible brushstrokes. They give the whole thing a sense of energy. The colors are super vibrant, and the main character is always natural light. Think of someone like Claude Monet, painting a garden or a busy street, trying to grab that one fleeting moment before it was gone forever.
Okay, so the Impressionists totally nailed capturing reality, right? Well, the next generation came along and asked a pretty wild question. What if we just broke it? What came next was a complete deconstruction of the world as we know it. And yeah, this is where things start to get really weird.
And welcome to Cubism. You've got artists like Pablo Picasso asking this game-changing question. Why on earth do I have to show something from just one angle? So Cubism breaks things up into geometric shapes and then puts them back together, showing you the front, the side, and the back all at once. It's not about copying reality anymore, it's about completely rebuilding it.
The clues for this one, they're pretty unmistakable. You're looking for geometric shapes all over the place. Cubes, cones, flat planes, everything looks fractured, almost like you're seeing it through a broken mirror. The colors are usually pretty muted, lots of browns and grays. But the real key, the dead giveaway, is seeing all those different viewpoints smashed into one single picture.
But what if you took it even further? What if you just got rid of recognizable objects altogether? That is the massive leap into abstract art. With this, the artist isn't trying to paint something you'd recognize from the real world at all. And this move just completely redefines what art is even for. In abstract art, the lines, the colors, the shapes, they become the language. The whole point is to communicate pure feeling or energy or a certain rhythm. It's kind of like how a piece of music can make you feel something powerful without using a single word. This is music for your eyes.
All right, so we've looked at the outside world, and we've even broken it down into pieces. Now we're going even deeper. We're going inside, into the human mind. The next artists we're talking about were all about exploring dreams, nightmares, and those raw, unfiltered emotions we all have.
And this brings us to Surrealism. Think of artists like Salvador Dalí. They believed that real creativity, the good stuff, didn't come from logic. It came from your subconscious, from your dreams. So they painted these incredible dreamscapes, you know, the famous paintings with the melting clocks or objects just floating in midair. It's a world that runs on its own bizarre poetic logic.
Now, around the same time, you had another group, the Expressionists. They were also looking inward, but from a totally different angle. For them, it wasn't about dreams, it was about expressing intense, raw, personal emotion. They used distorted figures and really intense, almost jarring colors, not to show you what the world looked like, but to show you what it felt like. The perfect example? Edvard Munch's The Scream. So here's the key difference you got to remember. Surrealism, that's all about the weird, illogical world of our dreams. Expressionism, that's about taking a raw human feeling, like anxiety or joy or pure dread, and just splashing it directly onto the canvas for everyone to see. Okay, so we've covered art about light, art about reality, and art about what's going on inside our heads. But what happens when art decides to leave the dream world behind and land smack dab in the middle of a supermarket aisle? Well, in our final section, we're going to see how artists started finding inspiration in the most everyday places.
And that brings us to pop art. You've got guys like Andy Warhol looking around at advertisements, at comic books, at celebrities, and thinking, hey, that's art. They took something as simple as a can of soup, something you see every day, and turned it into high art. It totally blurred the line between what you'd see in a gallery and what you'd see on a billboard.
And finally, we have the artists who decided that art doesn't even belong in a gallery. Street art takes that creativity and puts it right out there for everyone, turning city walls into giant canvases. And it can be incredibly powerful, right? It can be social commentary, a form of protest, or sometimes just about bringing a little bit of beauty to a concrete wall.
All right, you've seen the clues, you've learned the secret languages. It is time for your final challenge. Let's see if you can put all this new knowledge to the test. You ready?
Okay, it's pretty simple. I'm going to describe 3 different artworks. All you have to do is think back on those visual clues we talked about and match the art to the right movement. Let's do this.
All right, here we go. Artwork number 1, it's a painting of water lilies with really thick, quick brush strokes that are all about capturing the light on the water's surface. Got it? Okay. Artwork number 2, it's a portrait, but the face is all broken up into sharp geometric shapes. And finally, artwork number 3, it's a super weird dreamlike landscape, and there's a melting clock in it. Go ahead, lock in your answers. What do you think?
And the answers are in. Artwork 1, with the water lilies, was Impressionism. Artwork 2, the geometric portrait, was Cubism. And artwork 3, with the melting clock, that was Surrealism. So, how'd you do? I bet you nailed it. See, those clues really help.
And that, right there, is really the coolest part of all this. Each of these movements isn't just a style. It's a totally different way of looking at the world. It's a reminder that the way we see things is just one way, and there are always, always new ways to look at reality.
So, the next time you find yourself in a museum, or even just walking down the street, keep those eyes peeled. That next masterpiece could be anywhere. The real question is, after today, what are you going to see differently?